And welcome in, everyone. I hope you are all having a great Sunday, or all you had a great Sunday. It's today it's in the evening, since I was on the road over this weekend. So we have a late recording of the podcast today. Give me a moment to get set up. Okay. So now you should also see me properly again. Yeah, I think I fixed all my lighting and focus issues, so picture quality should be pretty good, and audio quality as well. So yeah. So the show notes for today with all the links I will be discussing can again be accessed via the show notes command. There you go, the link to the show notes. Check if that is also related to the ones watching on YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, it works perfect. So everyone can access the show notes on the YouTube page. You will also be able to find the links down below in the description. The topic list there is up to date. And in regards to topics, I can give you a sneak peek on that. We will be discussing today the announcement from Valve that happened a few days ago regarding the availability of the Steam Deck. some rumors in regarding to the NVIDIA and ARM merger, or the ARM acquisition by NVIDIA, and it seems like there are, let's say, deliberations made at NVIDIA if they're actually going to pursue the matter, but we will get into that later. Then we have, of course, the acquisition by Microsoft. So Microsoft is acquiring Activision Blizzard. That announcement came through. Another major acquisition in the gaming industry. So we will discuss that. Then also recent news is that Apple is going to allow unlisted apps on the App Store. And a tie-back story to some discussions I had on earlier podcasts, and even on the initial podcast that I was on, done by former colleagues of mine, regarding the current situation in the smartphone or app market. We have another news regarding what Huawei is doing due to the US sanctions. And so that's the list of topics that we will be discussing today. Welcome in, Corbin. How are you doing today? Yeah, I wasn't able to check out your stream yesterday. Let me actually check if that works. Since Corbin is a fellow streamer as well. Ah, you played Hinge yesterday, huh? Ah, you played Beat Saber. Yeah, I was not watching yesterday since I was on 40th birthday of a friend of mine. So that's why I was traveling this weekend. Ah, I can imagine that. Yeah, I will get back into Beat Saber as well on Tuesday, because my schedule this week that didn't allow me again to not do 2 sessions. So I will definitely enjoy another Beat Saber session on Tuesday. But luckily I had some tensions with my shoulders in the past 2 weeks, and those are now almost gone. So I hope that also gets better. Okay. But as long as you enjoyed your workout yesterday, and how was Hinge? But I will probably check out your VOD later as well. Okay, then I will definitely check that out. If not later, perhaps tomorrow when I have time. So probably be joining in at your session later today. Okay, then I would say let's get into our topics of today. If you want to get to the links, they can be found here. And let's get into recording mode. So wrong thing just now? Okay, now I got it. Have to make sure that there is no music playing because I forgot that once with one recording, and I actually got some complaints by viewers, and rightfully so. So for podcasts, having no music is probably the best. So yeah, then let's start our countdown again. If I would type it correctly.
3, 2, 1, 0.
And welcome to another episode of my technology podcast. The last one for January of 2022. We definitely had a very interesting month in the tech scene, and we have 5 new topics to discuss today. And I would say we just go right into it. So the first topic that we will go into is Valve's announcement in regards to the Steam Deck's availability, which came out, I think, earlier this week. Does it show you somewhere? Yeah, on January 26th, so on this Wednesday, Valve announced that on February 25th, they will make the Steam Deck available for order for the first batch of customers who did their reservation back last year. I don't actually remember when it was. I think in June or July there was the initial registration window, and yeah, so the first batch will be able to order their Steam Decks within 3 days, so within 72 hours of the notification email being sent out that they can place the order. And if the user does not follow through with their order within that time window, their slot will be reallocated to someone else on the waiting list, and so you can probably expect that there will be some shift in regards to the schedule when who will be receiving their notification, because probably not everyone will be responding to the emails in time, but I think most people will, because the Steam Deck is so highly anticipated, and yeah, they will then process each batch accordingly. And the first batch will actually be sent out on the 28th of February. So everyone who is in the first batch and places their order within those 72 hours should get their Steam Deck dispatched in late February and receive it early March. So that will be interesting to see. And yeah, for at the same time, Valve is planning on to releasing the reviews of the Steam Deck, and is providing reviewers already with units for testing. So you will get a lot of content and coverage on that as well. And for everyone else who was not in the first batch, I think the next batch is in in Q2. So that will be somewhere between April and June of this year, and everyone else will be in the second half of 2022. If you have not placed an order yet, you will be in the second half of this year, definitely. So depending on how orders and quantities of the Steam Deck go, and how availability progresses. Since like we discussed last time, we are still living in a chip shortage, and capacity at TSMC is very in demand, and it will be interesting to see how AMD and Valve will be able to fulfill the Steam Deck orders. Especially if they're getting good press, I think there will be a lot more orders. And yeah, I ordered a Steam Deck myself, but I'm not in the first batch. But I will definitely have a look at the Steam Deck once I get it, also from my special perspective as a visually impaired person. But I am really looking forward to the Steam Deck, since I wanted to get a mobile console like this for a while. And when the Steam Deck was announced, my plans on getting perhaps a Nintendo Switch were dropped, and I decided to go with the Steam Deck instead because it's more versatile. So, but that's overall good news that Valve is able to stick to their updated schedule, that there are no further delays, and will be interesting to see what the Steam Deck will be able to do. Then our second topic lays a bit into the same space, and it's the news broken. I think it was broken by Bloomberg because they got some insider information that NVIDIA seems to not want to go along with the planned acquisition of ARM. When I checked out other media sources on that issue, it seems a bit controversial, because yes, we know, and I already discussed this on this show, that NVIDIA has already probes going on into the acquisition of ARM by the UK regulatory authorities, by the US regulatory authorities. I'm not sure if the EU did it, but those two definitely did it, and it makes sense that those two are primarily involved, since NVIDIA is, of course, a US-based corporation, and ARM is a UK-based corporation. And so those two countries are then mainly involved into evaluating if this merger is something that can go through, or if that should be blocked. And yeah, there was a big outcry in the industry, and as I discussed in earlier episodes, I am really not sure if NVIDIA acquiring ARM would be a good thing. Basically, in the short term, you would not really feel it, but the implications on the long term, especially due to NVIDIA's well-deserved reputation in regards to the treatment of competitors and even partners is well known, and so the concerns that NVIDIA will basically use their acquisition of ARM to their own advantage are therefore very relevant. But yeah, we will have to wait and see how this story is going to develop. But yeah, man, the Bloomberg article here goes into a bit more detail in regarding to the whole acquisition, and but I think we covered a lot of this in earlier episodes, so I will not go through this in detail today. But if you want to get to the details of the rumors and the surrounding information, the article at Bloomberg is linked in the show notes. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can get those links on my blog at bnonet.com, and the link should also be directly in the episode description. So if you're also watching this on YouTube, you will find the link in the video description, and it should also be in the podcast episode description, so that you can find all the material that I am referencing here very easily. Then let's go to another major acquisition story. So at the moment, it's a time of acquisitions, you could say. Yeah, Microsoft has announced that they are in the process of acquiring Activision Blizzard with all their IPs to add those to their Xbox and Xbox Game Pass library. Especially due to the latest situations at Blizzard with employee rights and sexual assault issues. This is not very surprising that there are changes coming up, but this is also again a major acquisition. As this article on The Verge is referencing, Microsoft is paying 68.7 billion US dollars for acquiring Activision Blizzard, and as I heard from other media outlets, discussions are rampant if this will be a good thing or a bad thing. So basically, for the diversity in the gaming industry, it's of course not that good, because you have a lot more consolidation of large publishers. And besides, Microsoft's current practices in the gaming space are pretty good, especially since they are also using Game Pass to support smaller studios for adding their titles to Game Pass in advance, so they have more funding for their games development. And so it's a mixed bag, really, this acquisition, because monopolies or large conglomerates in whatever industry are never a good thing on the long term. But it was to be expected that someone would take advantage of the situation at Activision Blizzard, that they're and basically acquire it at least price possible, due to the current news situation around the company. So let's hope that Microsoft has good influence through their company culture, which can also be pretty mixed. But as far as I heard, the gaming space seems to be pretty open, and people are treated a bit more fairly. If that is true, I don't know, because I don't know anyone working at Microsoft directly. So this is all hearsay at the moment from my side. But it would be nice to see situations for the employees at Activision Blizzard to improve, and Microsoft investing into the IPs that Activision Blizzard has to bring out great new titles. I think there was a news story broken this week that that Blizzard is working on a new survival game, and so a new IP. So I hope that these are positive developments for those IPs, and that we will get some great games from Activision and from Blizzard out of that transaction. And the acquisition will be definitely going through a few years. I think they are planning to close this next year or the year after next year. I am not sure of the date right now, but it will definitely be a lengthy process, because of similar with the NVIDIA and ARM acquisition, the regulatory bodies have to approve the acquisition. And since Microsoft has acquired ZeniMax, and with that Bethesda and ZeniMax Online, id Software, and so on, I think a year back, it will be definitely a point of contention with the regulatory bodies. But we will see how this plays out. I hope it will play out for the best, for the employees and for us as gamers and consumers, and that Microsoft will stick to the current pretty open strategy to their subsidiaries that they're acquiring, because they have all their own styles, and not influencing those in a large degree, changing directions. So let's hope it stays that way, and there will not be another shift deteriorating those IPs to just do games that get you the most money, and you don't care about the history and the IP, which happened to some other franchises in the past few years. So okay, another recent story from this week is that Apple actually allows now for developers to request their apps not being officially listed on the App Store. As this article that I'm showing here on Engadget also describes, the idea for that kind of distribution scenario is when you're designing an app for a specific use case, or for a specific customer base, which makes the app basically unusable for the common public. You can have a lot of scenarios where this actually applies. For example, when you have an app for patients of a large medical institution, and you cannot distribute the app via a enterprise store because your patients should be able to use that. But basically, everyone else who's not a patient of that particular medical institution has no use for that app, and so it actually makes no sense to distribute it in the public app store. So basically, now you can request at Apple that your app may be removed from the public listing and be made available just via direct link, and so you can give your customer basically the link to the app, and basically everyone else doesn't see the app in the search results, which increases the quality of the search results for the average user, because you don't have those special needs applications or special scope applications in the App Store anymore. So you're going to find what you're actually looking for much quicker because there is less clutter. And on the other hand, it's a bit of peace of mind for companies that they can point their users directly to those applications, and they don't have to deal with any weird customer feedback from people who are not actually using their services because they misunderstand the application scope or whatsoever. So overall, I have to say this is a good move by Apple. I actually was asking myself a few days ago why there is not a feature like that, and then I saw this announcement that Apple is now introducing it. Since during my line of work, I came into a discussion where I was thinking about scenarios like this. How can you distribute a app that just specializes on a different on a specific group of users, and a scenario like this would be ideal for this approach. And yeah, so this makes the App Store a bit more usable and reduces overhead in many ways. And I actually don't know if Google does that for the Play Store right now, but if they do not allow that yet, that will be something which Google will probably be following up with pretty soon, because actually for me this is a common sense feature, because you will have scenarios like this all the time, and not everyone who has a special scoped app will have the company size or organizational size to get an enterprise developer account where you can then limit the scope of the application automatically. And an enterprise account is also better suited for distribution to devices that are managed by your organization, because you have to deal with special certificates and so on. And for a scenario like the patient application, what I just said earlier, you don't want to have that, because people should be able to just normally install the application. And this change enables that now. So this is an interesting move. It almost went by me. And yeah, last story of today already is Huawei is now releasing their new P50 Pro flagship and the P50 Pocket, if that is correct here, outside of China, but not in the US, which of course is still due to the sanctions. I think in theory, Huawei will be able to sell in the US, but there are quite a few hoops that they have to jump through. I definitely discussed this in earlier podcast episodes, and even with my former colleagues. I discussed this in German podcast back in 2019, 2018. I don't know right now, because we were working together with Huawei at the time, due to their shift away from the Google Play services, which was triggered by US restrictions, which led to Google disallowing Huawei the use of the Google services. And nowadays, Huawei is now running their App Gallery store as a replacement for the Play Store. And basically now they have their own versions of all the Google services. And yeah, I had the last time I had a Huawei device in my hand was early last year. And those services actually worked pretty good at the time. They made quite a bit of progress on that regard. And I found it interesting that Huawei now goes to the extent and says, no, we are not even shipping to the US anymore. So for everyone else, those devices will be available in Europe. The Engadget is listing prices of about 1,200 euros for the P50 Pro, and for the P50 Pocket, 1,300 euros. So typical flagship prices for phones nowadays, and Huawei was always pretty good with their hardware. I really liked their phone designs. Also, the new phones here, they look pretty good. Actually, this design reminds me a bit of the Galaxy S8, at least the front of the device. And yeah, the backside definitely has an interesting design with those dual camera inlays. Definitely a unique look. And okay, the Pocket seems to be a foldable then. I did not get those news actually when they released those new devices. Let's actually have a look at that. Okay, seems not that there are many pictures of that, but this seems to be a foldable device as well. So the foldable device trend continues as well. That article that I just showed regarding the P50 Pocket, that's not separately linked on the show notes, but it's linked in the article referencing the story. And it will be interesting to see how this involves further with the whole situation with these restrictions towards China. Now there are already calls for similar restrictions to Russia as well, due to the current Ukraine situation. And I don't know, it feels a bit weird, because on the one hand, it's a good thing that measures like this trigger a bit of diversifications in the mobile OS space and the mobile app store space, because mainly you had till Huawei opened the app gallery, you had Google Play and Apple's App Store as the only two competitors. Yes, Amazon has an Android App Store, and how is it called again? There is also a Russian App Store. I think it's Russian, but I'm not. Yandex. Yeah, right. The Yandex App Store. So those are the ones, but most of the market share is basically Apple and Google, and we're getting into the discussion again with the whole Epic and Apple lawsuits. Same with Epic and Google regarding the store conditions and the availability of their apps, and yeah, there seems to be missing a additional player on the market that gives an alternative, and yeah, I actually don't know, for example, of a European competitor. Perhaps someone in the audience can correct me there, but I actually don't know one. So Yola, back in the day, they started their own app store when they released their Sailfish OS, but I have not checked that in a while, and I think they basically only had free applications on their app store, and they were specific to their Sailfish OS written in Qt, and if I remember correctly, they allowed the installation of the Yandex store at the time, and I think the newer versions of Sailfish OS, they will be able to install the Amazon App Store as sources for Android apps. So but the whole situation regarding this will be interesting to see how that evolves. Even harkening back to the discussion with Microsoft and the Game Pass, where this leads basically people to use more and more Microsoft stores, basically tying them back to the rest of Microsoft's infrastructure and services, tying them back to Windows instead of having something that works perhaps cross-platform. So this is a interesting development. So you see more and more platform economies popping up and solidifying actually through measures like that, and so you have people living in their own silos. Basically, you have the Apple silo, you have the Microsoft silo, you have the Huawei silo, you have the Samsung silo, and so on and so forth. And it will be interesting how that evolves in the future, because the question is, how does this develop? Does everything drift more and more apart, which especially for modern communication technology is a bit counterproductive, because you want to communicate with people, and if your friend is on in the other silo and those silos cannot talk to each other anymore, you have a problem. I am actually one of the few people probably that are not using WhatsApp, and you feel effects like that through not using a particular service already. But that could actually go worse when you go more into these platform silos. Oh, sorry for that. But yeah, so definitely another topic to watch, and that already concludes our topics for today. I hope these topics were interesting to you, and the podcast will be available in audio format again at 8:30 p.m. today, and we will be back in 2 weeks. The live recording of the podcast normally is on the same day as where the audio version goes live. I try to have it recorded at the same time every week, every time, but that doesn't work out every time. So if you want to jump into the recording each time, best to check my blog at bnonet.com or follow me on Twitter at Noffer. And there you will get notified when the new live recordings are happening. But if you want to catch the audio format, they are always available every 2 weeks on Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on all the major podcasting platforms. And of course, the recording is also available as video on demand via YouTube afterwards. And I am releasing the edited version of the podcast to Odyssey, and the full stream is also copied over to Rumble. And if you enjoy more the short form versions of the different topics discussed on each episode, these are available as segments on YouTube as well. All the links to that you will be able to find in the show notes or on my blog in general at bnonet.com. So thank you very much for listening and watching, and see you next episode. So that concludes the recording portion of today's stream. I hope those topics were interesting for you guys. And again, if you want to check out the articles that I discussed earlier, you can grab those from the show notes that I just posted again in the chat. And yeah, if you want to discuss some of the topics that I mentioned earlier, feel free to jump in. I actually have to check. The YouTube chat as well. Oops. No, that I see the comment. Yeah, with the countdown that I'm using at the beginning of the podcast recordings, I actually have the whole sound segment with lift off, but PhantomBot basically cuts it off at that point because I think the audio clips are only allowed to be 4 or 5 seconds long, or the video clips, and then it cuts automatically off. So perhaps I will be working on replacing that functionality with my own solution that I'm currently working on, which was started due to my work on getting the interactions with Beat Saber on the YouTube chat working. I still also want to make a stream on that, improving that particular bot, which is currently written as a .NET 6 service worker application, and I want to redo that as a ASP.NET Core web application, not web application, MVC application, which would then also allow me to handle properly the callbacks from Twitch when you do the Twitch authentication, and that would also allow me to use technologies like either JavaScript, or perhaps I will give Microsoft's Blazor a go for creating UI elements for stream overlays. Like I am thinking about creating something when also for the podcast recording, so that you have something on let me see, yeah, on that side here of the screen, where you can then see what at which topic I am currently at, and that would also be easier for people who are just following the recording later on, and all those things I'm currently thinking about. So this is just a fun little side project. If you want to check those projects that I'm currently working on, you can check my GitHub. Where is it? I just put the link in the chat, so there you can grab some of my recent public projects. The bot being one of them. Then I created something for Xamarin Forms, so you can render SVG images, replacing a library that I used previously in a lot of customer projects. And yeah, I had to make a replacement, and I made that available as open source, and it works pretty well. So this is now this image library is now used in a application that is used by I don't know 120,000+ users, and it's working actually great. So I can definitely at the moment recommend that. Yeah, so next stream of mine will be on Tuesday. Let me quickly check if there was something in the YouTube chat. Nope. Okay, yeah, as I said, next stream will be on Tuesday. I will be playing Beat Saber again, and I hope that I will be back onto my regular planned schedule this week. So Friday afternoon will be the next Beat Saber session after the one on Tuesday, and on Sunday we will probably be continuing the adventures in Half-Life Alyx, which I have not continued in quite a while due to stuff coming up, and yeah, So if there are no additional comments, questions to the topics discussed today, or whatever topic you want to jump into the chat with, I would say I will close this down so I can get the audio version ready and edited for release later today. And yeah, next live stream recording will be, let me check the date, on February 13th. Or, let me just check. Yes, February 13th. That's correct. And yeah, the episode after that would be normally recorded on the 27th, would be actually the anniversary episode of my podcast, because the first episode was released on February 23rd, 2021. So it might be because the weekends, that particular weekend of the 27th, I will not be able to do the live recording. So it might be that we do the recording for the weekend of the 27th on the weekend of the 19th or 20th. So yeah, but I will definitely announce that on my blog, depending on how the schedule plays out. And so everyone who wants to jump in can do so. I was in talks with someone to perhaps even do a interview for that particular show, but sadly that has not come to fruition. But I will think about what we can do for the anniversary show, so you get something special for that particular occasion. And yeah, so I have not seen any additional comments. So thank you very much everyone for jumping into the live stream, and I am going to call it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.